The stars looked peaceful from the observation deck of Firebase Titan, but General Lisa Brooks knew better. She had been staring at those same stars for 3 years now, watching, waiting, and preparing for the next attack. The Crethean Empire controlled most of this sector, and they did not like that humanity refused to bow down. Lisa was 42 years old, and she had spent half her life in uniform. She grew up in Detroit during the worst years, when Earth was tearing itself apart over resources and territory. She learned to fight in those streets before she ever saw a starship. By the time humanity finally united and reached for the stars, Lisa was already a decorated soldier with more combat experience than officers twice her age. Now she commanded the entire human defense line along the border with Crethean space. It was not a job anyone wanted, but Lisa had never walked away from a fight in her life. She was not about to start now. The door to the observation deck slid open. Commander Jake Peters walked in, carrying a data tablet and wearing the concerned expression that Lisa had come to recognize over their 7 years serving together. Jake was her second in command, a solid officer who had saved her life at least twice and never asked for recognition. He was also one of the few people who would tell her the truth even when she did not want to hear it. "We need to talk," Jake said, handing her the tablet. "Intelligence just sent this over. Captain Amy Lou flagged it as Priority 1. Lisa took the tablet and read through the report. Amy was their best intelligence officer, and she did not throw around priority ratings without good reason. The report showed unusual communication patterns coming from the Crethean Royal Palace. Encrypted messages sent to multiple locations across their empire, all within the last 48 hours. The encryption was military grade, not the standard diplomatic codes. "They are planning something," Lisa said. It was not a question. "That's what Amy thinks. The pattern matches what we saw before the attack on Outpost 7 and the ambush at the Centauri Gate." Jake leaned against the window, his reflection overlapping with the stars beyond. "But this feels different. The messages are going to unusual places, not military bases or fleet positions." Lisa scrolled through the data. Jake was right. Some of these messages were going to civilian stations, merchant hubs, and even neutral territories. That did not fit the pattern of a military operation, unless the Cretheans were trying something new. "Get Amy up here," Lisa said, "and pull in Ben from security. I want to know what we are missing." 20 minutes later, they were all gathered in Lisa's office. Captain Amy Lou was small and quick, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. She had worked in intelligence for 15 years, and she could read patterns in data the way Lisa could read a battlefield. Lieutenant Ben Carter handled base security, and he was paranoid in the best possible way. If there was a threat to Firebase Titan, Ben would find it. "Show them what you found," Lisa said to Amy. Amy pulled up a holographic display in the center of the room. Lines of data flowed through the air, connecting dots across a map of known space. 3 days ago, the Crethean king sent out 47 encrypted messages. We cracked 12 of them. Most were routine military orders, nothing unusual. But these 5 here. She highlighted a cluster of messages. These went to locations with no military value. And the encryption was different, heavier, more layers. "Could be diplomatic channels," Jake suggested. "Maybe they are trying to build a coalition against us." "That was my first thought too," Amy said. "But the locations do not match any known diplomatic offices or embassies. And get this. 2 of the locations are merchant guilds that have never had any political involvement before. They are just traders." Ben leaned forward, studying the display. "Or that is what they want us to think they are. What if those merchant guilds are covers for something else?" Lisa felt a cold weight settle in her stomach. She had learned to trust her instincts over the years, and right now those instincts were screaming at her. "Pull up everything we have on those merchant guilds. I want to know who runs them, where their ships go, and who they hire." Amy's fingers danced across her control pad. Data flooded the display. The first merchant guild was called the Silver Path Consortium. They operated mostly in neutral space, carrying luxury goods between systems. The second was the Void Traders Alliance, a smaller operation that specialized in rare materials. "Wait," Ben said suddenly. "Go back to the Silver Path Consortium. Look at their crew manifest." Amy brought up the personnel files. There were 23 crew members listed, all from different species. Nothing unusual for a merchant vessel. But Ben was staring at 3 names in particular. "These 3, he said, pointing. "They joined the crew 6 months ago, all at the same time. Before that, there is no record of them anywhere. No employment history, no travel records, nothing. It is like they did not exist before they joined this crew. Lisa felt her jaw tighten. Ghost identities, exactly, Ben said. Professional ones, too. Whoever created these backgrounds knew what they were doing. But they got sloppy with the timing. All three appearing at once is a red flag. Jake was already ahead of them. Are any ships from the Silver Path Consortium in our sector right now? Amy checked the traffic logs. Her face went pale. They have a ship requesting docking permission at Delta Prime Station. Right now. They are scheduled to arrive in 6 hours. The room went silent. Delta Prime Station orbited the same moon that Firebase Titan was built on. It was a civilian station, handling trade and commerce for the entire sector. It was also less than 200 kilometers from Lisa's command center. Deny their docking request, Lisa ordered. I want that ship turned away immediately. We cannot do that without cause, Jake said quietly. Delta Prime is a civilian station. It has its own administration. If we block a legitimate merchant vessel without proof of wrongdoing, we will have a diplomatic incident on our hands. The council will have our heads. Lisa knew he was right, but every instinct she had was telling her that ship was a threat. Then we need proof. Ben, I want a security team ready to board that vessel the moment it docks. Full tactical gear. If there is anything wrong with that ship or its crew, I want to know about it before they set foot on the station. I will personally lead the team, Ben said. Amy, keep digging into those identities. Find me something concrete. Lisa looked at each of them in turn, and no one talks about this outside this room. If this is what I think it is, we cannot afford to tip them off. After they left, Jake stayed behind. He knew Lisa well enough to see the worry she was trying to hide. You think they are coming for you? It was not a question, but Lisa answered anyway. The Krethian king has been quiet since the Battle of Crimson Nebula. Too quiet. We destroyed his 7th fleet and killed his favorite admiral. A ruler like Zarthux does not let that go unanswered. He would need to be insane to try an assassination this deep in human territory, Jake said. The political fallout alone would turn half the galaxy against him. He has ruled for 300 years, Jake. He has crushed 200 species. He does not think like we do. To him, this is about dominance, about showing everyone what happens when you defy him. Lisa turned to look out the window again, at the stars that hid so many dangers. And what better way to do that than by killing the general who beat him? Jake was quiet for a moment. So what do? We prepare, and we hope I am wrong. But Lisa knew she was not wrong. She had survived too many wars, too many battles by trusting her instincts. And right now those instincts were telling her that death was coming to Firebase Titan. The next 6 hours passed slowly. Lisa went through her normal routine, attending briefings and reviewing supply reports, but her mind was elsewhere. She kept her sidearm loaded and close. She made sure her combat knife was sharp and secured in its usual place on her leg. She had worn that knife through the unification wars on Earth, and it had saved her life more than once. When the Silver Path merchant vessel finally docked at Delta Prime Station, Ben and his security team were waiting. Lisa watched through the security feed from her office as the airlock opened, and 6 figures stepped onto the station. They looked harmless enough. 4 were humanoid, but clearly not human, with the blue-tinted skin common to Valerian traders. 2 were insectoid, which matched the crew manifest for the Silver Path Consortium. They moved casually, carrying cargo containers and chatting with each other like any normal merchant crew. But Lisa watched how they moved. How they scanned their surroundings without seeming to, how 2 of them positioned themselves to cover the others. These were not merchants. These were soldiers. Ben must have seen it too, because his voice came through the comm channel tight with tension. General, these people are wrong. Everything about them is wrong. Scan their cargo, Lisa ordered. Full deep scan, don't let them refuse. Ben's team moved in with scanning equipment. The 6 visitors did not resist, but Lisa saw the way their bodies tensed. The way their hands drifted closer to their belts. She recognized that stance. She had used it herself 1,000 times. The scans came back clean. No weapons, no explosives, no prohibited materials. Just trade goods and personal belongings. But Lisa knew that meant nothing. A real professional would know how to hide weapons or... The transport landed at the civilian entrance just after dawn. Lisa watched from the security center as 2 figures stepped off, both wearing long robes common to merchant travelers. They carried identification that showed them as representatives of the Silver Path Consortium, here to discuss supply contracts with the base quartermaster. Ben met them at the entrance with 4 armed guards. Lisa listened through the comm system as he asked them the standard questions. Their answers were perfect. Too perfect. Real merchants would be nervous meeting military security. These two were calm, almost bored. "Something is very wrong," Lieutenant Amy Lou said from her station beside Lisa. She was reviewing their background checks for the 3rd time. "The identities are solid, but they feel manufactured. Like someone built a perfect fake person instead of a real one." Lisa nodded. She had seen fake identities before, but never ones this good. Whoever made these had resources and skill that went beyond normal criminal operations. This was government-level work. Maybe even royal level. "Ben, keep them in the waiting area," Lisa ordered. "Do not let them move freely through the base." But even as she gave the order, she knew it was not enough. If these people were really assassins, they had already planned for security measures. They would have backup plans and escape routes. They would be armed with weapons that could pass through scanners. And they would be very, very good at killing. Jake entered the security center, followed by 6 officers from the command staff. All of them were combat veterans, people Lisa trusted with her life. They had fought beside her in battles across the sector. If this turned into a fight, she wanted them at her back. "What is the situation?" Jake asked. 2 suspects in holding at the civilian entrance, 4 more on Delta Prime Station, locations unknown. All 6 entered human space under false credentials, likely tied to the Krathian Royal Palace. Lisa pulled up a tactical map of Firebase Titan. "If they are here to kill me, they will try to get to the command center. That is where I spend most of my time." "Then we move you to a secure location," Jake said immediately. "Lock you down in the bunker until we clear the threat." Lisa shook her head. That is what they would expect. A normal target would run and hide, but that just gives them time to set up, to prepare. "No, we do this differently." She turned to face her officers. "I stay in the command center and continue my normal schedule. We turn this place into a trap. If they come for me, they will find themselves surrounded by the best soldiers humanity has to offer." "That is using yourself as bait," Ben said through the comm. He had been listening to the conversation. "With respect, General, that is insane." "It is tactical," Lisa corrected. "We know they are coming. We know their target. The only question is when and how. If we wait for them to make the first move on their terms, people will die. But if we control the situation, we can end this quickly." Jake looked like he wanted to argue, but he knew Lisa too well. Once she made a decision, nothing would change her mind. "Fine, but we do this smart. Full security detail in the command center at all times. No one gets in without 3 forms of identification. And I stay with you every second." "Agreed," Lisa said. She turned back to Ben. "What about the 2 in holding?" "Still waiting. Getting impatient, though. They keep asking when they can see the quartermaster." Ben paused. "General, I want to try something." "Let me bring them to the command center. Tell them you will meet with them personally to discuss the supply contracts." Lisa smiled coldly. "Bring them right into the trap. I like it, but make sure your team is ready. If they make a move, I want them contained before anyone else gets hurt." "Understood. Give me 20 minutes to set up." Those 20 minutes felt like hours. Lisa gathered her command staff in the main briefing room right next to her office. It was a large space with a central holographic table and enough room for 30 people. Multiple doors provided both entry and exit points. Windows looked out over the lunar surface. It was a good place for a meeting. It was also a good place for a fight. The officers took positions around the room, trying to look casual but ready to move at any moment. Lisa stood at the head of the table, reviewing reports on a data pad. She looked calm, like this was just another normal day, but her hand was never far from the pistol on her hip. Ben arrived with the 2 suspects and 4 guards. The moment they entered the room, Lisa knew her instincts had been right. These were not merchants. The way they moved, the way they assessed every person and exit in a single sweep of their eyes. The perfect balance and control in every step. These were killers. The taller one smiled pleasantly. "General Brooks, thank you for meeting with us. We understand you are very busy." Lisa gestured to the chairs across from her. "Please sit. Let us discuss this supply contract." They sat, but Lisa noticed how they positioned themselves. Close enough to reach her in one move, angled so they could see the entire room. Their hands rested casually on the table, but in positions that would let them draw weapons instantly. "We represent the Silver Path Consortium," the shorter one said. "We specialize in rare materials and luxury goods. We believe we can offer better prices than your current suppliers. Lisa pretended to review the data pad. Your prices do look competitive. Tell me, how long have you been with the Silver Path Consortium? 6 months, the tall one answered. That is strange, Amy spoke up from her position near the window. Because according to our records, you did not exist before 6 months ago. No employment history. No travel records, nothing. It is almost like you were just created. The room went very quiet. The two suspects did not move, but Lisa saw their muscles tense. The pleasant expressions never changed, but their eyes went cold and calculating. I think there has been some mistake with your database, the tall one said smoothly. We can provide additional documentation if needed. I am sure you can, Lisa said. She set down the data pad and looked directly at them. Let me save us all some time. You are not merchants. You are not from the Silver Path Consortium, and you are definitely not here to discuss supply contracts. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then the tall suspect smiled, and it was nothing like his earlier friendly expression. This smile was sharp and dangerous. Very perceptive, General Brooks. We were told humans were clever, but I did not quite believe it. Most species never see us coming until it is too late. Who sent you? Lisa asked, though she already knew the answer. Galaxy King Zarthux the Eternal. He sends his regards. The tall one shifted slightly in his chair. He wanted us to deliver a message personally. The message is that no one defies the Creathian Empire and lives. Well, your king is about to be very disappointed, Lisa said. She had her hand on her pistol now, ready to draw. Around the room, her officers were doing the same. The short suspect laughed softly. You think you can stop us? General, we are Shadow Blades. We have killed planetary leaders, military commanders, and royal family members across 12 systems. We have never failed a mission in 500 years. You are just one more name on a very long list. Then let me tell you something about humans, Lisa said. Her voice was calm, but there was steel underneath. We do not care about your list. We do not care about your reputation. And we definitely do not care that you have never failed before. Because here is what you did not know when you took this job. I grew up fighting in the streets of Detroit during the worst war Earth ever saw. I have been a soldier for 26 years. I have killed enemies in close combat more times than I can count. And I have never, not once, backed down from a fight. The tall suspect stopped smiling. Maybe he saw something in Lisa's eyes that worried him. Maybe he realized that humans were not like the other species they had killed. Or maybe he just decided that talking was over. Everything happened very fast. The two suspects moved with incredible speed, faster than any human could naturally move. Their hands blurred as they pulled weapons from hidden compartments in their clothes, thin blades that glowed with energy, perfect for cutting through armor and flesh. The weapons that had killed so many others. But Lisa was already moving. She had been ready from the moment they entered the room. Her pistol cleared its holster and fired twice. The tall suspect jerked back, hit in the shoulder. It did not stop him, but it slowed him down for just a second. That second was all Jake needed. He crashed into the tall suspect from the side, driving him to the ground. The energy blade skittered across the floor. The short suspect was faster. He closed the distance to Lisa in a single leap, his blade aimed at her throat. But Lisa had fought in closer quarters than this. She stepped inside his reach and drove her knee into his stomach, then followed up with an elbow to his face. He stumbled back, surprised that she had countered his attack. Then all hell broke loose. The windows shattered inward as 4 more figures crashed into the room. The other 4 assassins from the station. They must have stolen a transport and come straight here. Their robes were gone now, replaced with combat gear. Each one carried multiple weapons. Lisa's officers opened fire, but the shadow blades moved like ghosts. They dodged and weaved between shots, their movements almost too fast to follow. One blade caught Lieutenant Amy Liu across the arm, drawing blood. Another assassin engaged 3 officers at once. The 4-armed assassin moved like liquid death. Her blades came at Lisa from every angle, high and low, left and right, forcing her to defend instead of attack. Lisa blocked 2 strikes with her weapons but took a glancing cut across her ribs from a third. The pain was sharp and immediate, but she had been hurt worse before. Lisa backed up using the holographic table as a barrier. She needed space to think, to plan. The assassin was faster and had more weapons. Fighting her head-on would be suicide. Lisa had survived this long by being smarter than her enemies, not stronger. The assassin leaped onto the table, her blades raised for a killing strike. Lisa dove to the side and grabbed a chair, throwing it with all her strength. The assassin cut through it like paper, but the brief distraction gave Lisa time to reach one of the wall panels. She slammed her fist into the emergency release and the lights went out. Firebase Titan switched to emergency power, bathing the command center in dim red light. It was not much, but Lisa knew this room better than anyone. She had spent 3 years working here, walking these floors, memorizing every corner and obstacle. The assassins were in unknown territory now. Jake saw what Lisa was doing and started coordinating the other officers through hand signals. They spread out around the room, using the darkness and their knowledge of the space to their advantage. The remaining 3 assassins were still dangerous, still deadly, but now they had lost their perfect vision of the battlefield. Lisa moved quietly along the wall, her boots silent on the floor. She could hear the 4-armed assassin moving nearby, could hear the soft hum of the energy blades. The assassin was listening too, trying to locate her prey in the darkness. This had become a hunt, and Lisa had learned to hunt in far worse conditions than this. A shadow moved to her right. Lisa dropped low as a blade sliced through the air where her head had been. She rolled forward and came up inside the assassin's reach, driving her combat knife into the joint where one of the 4 arms connected to the body. The assassin screamed and stumbled back, one arm now hanging useless. But the assassin was not done. She swung with her remaining 3 blades in a wide arc, forcing Lisa to retreat. Lisa felt one blade catch her shoulder, cutting deep. Her left arm went numb and her weapon fell from her hand. She was down to one good arm now, one knife against an opponent who still had 3 weapons and years of training. The assassin pressed her advantage, driving Lisa back toward the corner of the room. Lisa's back hit the wall and she knew she was trapped. The assassin smiled, sensing victory. She raised all 3 remaining blades for the final strike. Lisa's right hand moved faster than thought, pulling the small pistol from the holster on her ankle, the gun her father had given her before he died. The gun she had carried through the unification wars. She fired 3 times at point-blank range. The assassin looked down in shock at the 3 holes in her chest. Her blades fell from her hands and she collapsed to the floor. Lisa stood over her, breathing hard, her shoulder bleeding badly. "You fight well, human," the assassin whispered. "I did not think you could win." "Then you thought wrong," Lisa said. She picked up one of the fallen energy blades. "Tell your king that humans are not prey." The assassin's eyes closed and she stopped breathing. Across the room, Jake and the other officers were still fighting the remaining 3 assassins. Lisa saw one officer go down, then another. Jake was holding off 2 assassins at once, but he was tiring. The cuts on his chest were bleeding heavily, and his movements were getting slower. Lisa ran to help him, ignoring the pain in her shoulder. She came at one of Jake's opponents from behind, driving the energy blade into the assassin's back. The alien spun around with incredible speed, faster than Lisa had expected, and backhanded her across the face. Lisa flew backward and hit the floor hard. The assassin advanced on her, his blade raised. Lisa tried to get up, but her body would not respond fast enough. She was hurt too badly, had lost too much blood. This was it. After 26 years of fighting, she was going to die on the floor of her own command center. Then Jake was there, throwing himself between Lisa and the assassin. The blade meant for Lisa caught Jake in the chest instead, driving deep. Jake gasped and grabbed the assassin's arm, holding him in place. Blood poured from the wound, but Jake did not let go. "Now!" Jake shouted. Lisa did not hesitate. She grabbed her pistol and fired until the weapon was empty. The assassin collapsed, taking Jake down with him. Lisa crawled to Jake's side, pressing her hands against the terrible wound in his chest. "Stay with me," she said. Her voice was shaking. Jake was more than her second in command. He was her friend, her brother, and everything but blood. "Medical is coming. You are going to be okay." Jake smiled weakly. "You better be right, General. I did not survive 7 years with you just to die now." Lisa looked up to see how many assassins were left. 2 were down, dead or dying. The last one was being overwhelmed by her remaining officers. They had him surrounded, and though he fought like a demon, there were too many of them. He managed to kill one more Marine before they brought him down with sustained fire. Then it was over. The command center fell silent except for the sounds of heavy breathing and groaning from the wounded. Lisa counted her people. 2 dead in the initial attack, 3 more dead in the fight, 5 wounded, including Jake and Amy. The price had been high, but they had won. 6 Shadow Blades, the most feared assassins in the galaxy, lay dead or dying on the floor of Firebase Titan. The impossible had happened. Humans had beaten the unbeatable. Lisa hit her communicator. Medical emergency in the command center. Multiple casualties. And someone end this lockdown before we all pass out from blood loss. The blast doors opened and medical teams rushed in. They went straight to Jake, working frantically to stabilize him. Lisa watched them work, still pressing her hand against her own shoulder wound. She refused to sit down or accept treatment until she knew Jake would survive. "He is stable," the lead medic finally said, "but he needs surgery immediately. We need to get him to the medical bay." "Go," Lisa ordered. She watched as they carried Jake away on a stretcher, his face pale but his eyes still open. He gave her a weak thumbs up as they took him out the door. Lisa felt something loosen in her chest. Jake would make it. They had both survived another impossible situation. Ben ran into the command center, his security team behind him. He stopped and stared at the carnage, his face going pale.
"General, what happened?"
"We had visitors," Lisa said. Her voice sounded distant to her own ears. She was starting to feel lightheaded from blood loss. They were not very friendly. "Sit down before you fall down," Amy said. She was leaning against the wall, her wounded arm bandaged by one of the medics. "You look terrible." "You should see the other guys," Lisa replied, but she let Amy guide her to a chair. A medic came over and started working on her shoulder. The pain was distant now, muted by adrenaline and shock. Ben was examining the dead assassins, his expression grim. "These are shadow blades. I have seen pictures, but I never thought I would see them in person. They are supposed to be unstoppable." "Nothing is unstoppable," Lisa said. "Everything can be killed if you are willing to pay the price." She looked around at her fallen Marines, at the blood covering the floors and walls. 5 people had died protecting her, 5 good soldiers who had families and friends and futures. They had died because the Krethian king wanted to prove a point, wanted to show what happened to those who defied him. Something cold and hard settled in Lisa's chest. Not anger, not hate, something far more dangerous. Determination. "Ben, I need you to do something for me," she said. "Get medical to preserve the heads of these assassins." "All 6 of them," Ben stared at her. "General? You heard me. Preserve them. I'm going to send them back to the Krethian king." Amy pushed away from the wall, her eyes wide. "Lisa, that is a declaration of war. If you send back the heads of his assassins, Zarthu will have to respond. The entire Krethian fleet will come down on us." "Let them come," Lisa said. Her voice was flat, emotionless. "The king sent assassins to kill me in my own base. He murdered 5 of my people. He thought he could scare us, make us bow down like every other species he has conquered. He needs to understand that humans do not work that way." She stood up, pushing away the medic who was trying to finish bandaging her shoulder. She walked to the center of the room and looked down at the body of the 4-armed assassin leader. This was the galaxy's finest killer, trained for centuries, backed by the most powerful empire in known space, and she was dead on the floor of a human military base. "The king wanted to send a message," Lisa said. "Fine, I will send one back. I will send him the heads of his precious shadow blades, and I will make sure he understands exactly what it means. Humans are not victims. We are not subjects. We are not prey. And if he sends more assassins, I will send more heads back. We will keep going until he understands that we will never submit." Ben looked at Amy, who shook her head but did not argue. They both knew Lisa well enough to understand that once she made a decision like this, nothing would change her mind. "I will contact medical," Ben said quietly. "They can preserve the heads in stasis containers. But General, you should know that this action cannot be undone. Once those heads leave Firebase Titan, we are committed to—" 3 hours after the fight ended, Lisa sat in the medical bay while doctors finished patching her up. Her shoulder was properly bandaged now, and they had given her something for the pain, though she refused anything that would cloud her thinking. She needed to be sharp for what came next. Jake was in surgery down the hall. The doctor said he would survive, but it had been close. Another few minutes without treatment and he would have bled out. Lisa made a mental note to give him a medal when he recovered. He had taken a blade meant for her without hesitation. Captain Nicole Ryan entered the medical bay carrying a data pad. Nicole was their best communications officer, a sharp woman who had served on 7 different ships before requesting transfer to Firebase Titan. She handled all the sensitive diplomatic communications, and right now her face showed deep concern. "General, I heard what you want to do," Nicole said carefully. "I have to advise against it. Sending back the heads of the assassins will be seen as a massive insult to the Krathian king. It could start a war. We are already at war, Lisa replied. We have been at war since the Krathians tried to expand into human space. The only difference is that now they tried to kill me personally. But this is different. This is personal, not military. If you send back those heads, you are making this about honor and reputation. The king will have to respond or look weak in front of his own people. Lisa understood what Nicole was saying. The Krathian Empire was built on fear and dominance. The king had ruled for 300 years by never showing weakness, never backing down. If he let humans kill his assassins and send their heads back without punishment, every species in his empire would see it as a sign that he was losing his grip. Good, Lisa said. Let him feel pressure. Let him understand what it is like to be challenged. Every other species bows to him because they think he is invincible. Maybe it is time someone showed them different. Nicole sighed. I will support whatever you decide, General. But I wanted you to know the risks. I appreciate that, Lisa said. Now I need you to find me a pilot and a fast ship. Someone who can get deep into Krathian space without being detected. We have just the person. Lieutenant Sam Holland commands a scout ship called the Phantom Hawk. It is small, fast, and has the best stealth systems in the fleet. Sam has run 3 intelligence missions into Krathian territory and never been spotted. Set up a meeting. I want to talk to him personally. An hour later, Lieutenant Sam Holland stood in Lisa's temporary office. He was young, maybe 28, with the confident stance of someone who had proven himself many times. He had the patch of the Scout Division on his uniform, and his eyes had the sharp, alert look of someone who survived by being smarter than his enemies. General Brooks, Sam said, saluting. Captain Ryan said you have a special mission. I'm listening. Lisa gestured for him to sit. This mission is completely voluntary. If you say no, there will be no mark on your record. But I need someone to take a package deep into Krathian space and deliver it to the royal palace. Specifically, I need it dropped on the king's doorstep where he cannot miss it. Sam leaned forward, interested. What is in the package? The heads of 6 Shadowblade assassins who tried to kill me this morning. I am sending them back to show the king that his message was received and that I have a reply. Sam was quiet for a long moment. Then he started to smile. You want to drop 6 assassin heads on the Krathian king's front door? That is the most audacious thing I have ever heard. When do we leave? You understand the risk? If you are caught in Krathian space with that cargo, they will execute you slowly. They will make an example of you. With respect, General, they have to catch me first, and I did not become the best scout pilot in the fleet by getting caught. Sam stood up. The Phantom Hawk can be ready in 2 hours. We will slip through their patrol routes during the shift change, drop the package, and be gone before they know we were there. Lisa stood and offered her hand. Thank you, Lieutenant. This means a lot to me. Sam shook her hand firmly. No thanks needed, General. The king sent killers to murder you in your own home. He needs to know that does not work on humans. I am honored to deliver that message. After Sam left, Lisa sat down to write the message that would accompany the package. She stared at the blank screen for a long time, thinking about what she wanted to say. This was not just about her. This was about humanity's place in the galaxy. Every word had to count. Finally, she began to type. Galaxy King Zarthux the Eternal. Your assassins came to Firebase Titan with the intention of taking my life. They were skilled, dangerous, and professional. They killed 5 of my people and wounded many more. But they failed in their primary mission. I am still alive. They are not. I am returning their heads to you so that you may honor them according to your customs. This message is simple. Humanity does not die easily. We are not like the other species you have conquered. We will fight for every inch of our territory. For every one of our people. We will never submit. We will never surrender. If you choose to send more assassins, I will need more containers. If you choose to accept that humans are not your subjects and not your prey, then we can find peace. The choice is yours. Choose wisely. General Lisa Brooks, Human Defense Forces. She read it 3 times, then sent it to be printed on physical paper and sealed in the container with the heads. Let the king read it while looking at the faces of his dead warriors. Let him understand exactly what humans were capable of. The medical team delivered 6 stasis containers, each one holding a preserved head. Lisa watched as they loaded them into a single large transport case with the Krathian royal seal that had been taken from one of the assassins. It seemed appropriate to use their own symbols to return their failure. Lieutenant Sam arrived with his crew, 3 other experienced scout personnel. They loaded the container onto the Phantom Hawk without comment, though Lisa saw the grim satisfaction on their faces. The entire base knew what had happened by now, and everyone wanted the king to receive Lisa's message. "We will make the run tomorrow night during the Krethian fleet rotation," Sam explained. "That gives us a 6-hour window where their patrol coverage is thinnest. We drop in, deliver the package to the palace landing platform, and drop out. Total time in their space will be less than 20 minutes. What if something goes wrong?" Lisa asked. "Then we improvise." "But General, nothing will go wrong. I promise you that package will reach the king's palace." Sam's expression was serious. "Your people died protecting you today. We will make sure their sacrifice means something." Lisa watched the Phantom Hawk lift off from the landing platform and disappear into the night sky. She felt Ben come to stand beside her. His security team had spent the last few hours cleaning the command center and dealing with the aftermath of the attack. "Do you think the king will respond with force?" Ben asked. "Maybe. Probably. But he will also think twice before trying something like this again, and that is what matters. We showed the galaxy that humans cannot be bullied or intimidated." "The council is not going to like this," Ben said. "They prefer diplomatic solutions," Lisa snorted. "The king sent assassins to kill me. There is no diplomatic solution to that. Sometimes the only language bullies understand is violence, and if the Krethians want to test us further, we will show them just how good humans are at violence." The next 30 hours passed slowly. Lisa went through the motions of her regular duties, reviewing reports and meeting with staff, but her mind was on the Phantom Hawk and its dangerous mission. Every hour that passed without news was good news. It meant Sam and his crew were still alive and still on mission. Jake woke up from surgery and immediately asked what he missed. Lisa visited him in the medical bay and filled him in on everything. He approved of her decision to send back the heads, though the doctors got upset when his laughter pulled at his stitches. "You are insane, General," Jake said, still grinning. "But that is why we follow you. You do not play games. When someone comes at you, you hit back twice as hard." "Rest and heal," Lisa told him. "I am going to need you back on your feet soon. If the king does respond with force, this is just the beginning." 48 hours after the Phantom Hawk departed, Lisa received the message she had been waiting for. Sam's voice came through the comm system, calm and professional. "Phantom Hawk to Firebase Titan. Package delivered successfully. No complications? Returning to base now." Lisa felt tension drain from her shoulders that she had not realized she was carrying. "Acknowledged, Phantom Hawk. Well done. See you when you get home." She immediately went to the communications center where Nicole was monitoring Krethian transmissions. If the king had received the package, there would be some reaction in their military channels. "Anything?" Lisa asked. "Nothing yet," Nicole replied. "But it has only been a few minutes. Give them time to process what they received." They did not have to wait long. 20 minutes later, Nicole's board lit up with activity. "General, I am picking up massive communications traffic from the Krethian capital. Multiple encrypted channels all activating at once. And there is something else. The king has called an emergency session of his war council." Lisa smiled grimly. He got the message. Over the next few hours, they monitored the situation carefully. The 3 months passed between the assassination attempt and the scheduled meeting with the Krethian king. 3 months during which Lisa watched the galaxy change in subtle but important ways. The story of what happened at Firebase Titan spread like wildfire through both human and alien channels. 6 Shadowblades, the most feared assassins in known space, had been killed by one human general and her troops. The heads had been sent back to the king as a message. It was the kind of bold, aggressive move that made for good stories. But the real impact went deeper than stories. Species that had been subjugated by the Krethian Empire for decades began to show signs of resistance. Small rebellions broke out on 3 different worlds. Trade convoys started refusing to pay the heavy taxes the king demanded. Nothing huge, nothing that threatened the empire directly, but enough to show that people were watching and taking notes. If humans could stand against the Galaxy King and survive, maybe others could too. Lisa watched these developments through intelligence reports and felt a mixture of satisfaction and worry. She had wanted to send a message about human strength, but she had not meant to destabilize the entire sector. Wars of rebellion were messy and cost innocent lives. She hoped the king would be smart enough to ease his grip before things got worse. Jake recovered fully from his wounds and returned to duty, though he moved a bit more carefully now. He joked that the scar on his chest was his retirement plan, something to show his grandchildren someday. Amy's arm healed well, and she went back to analyzing intelligence with her usual sharp focus. The 5 Marines who died defending the command center were given full military honors. Their names were added to the memorial wall at Firebase Titan, and Lisa made sure to visit that wall every morning. She owed them that much. They had died so she could live and fight another day. Now, standing on the observation deck of the neutral station Meridian Point, Lisa prepared for the most important meeting of her life. Meridian Point was a massive structure that floated in unclaimed space between human and Krethian territory. It was run by the Galactic Merchant Council, which meant it was neutral ground where even enemies could meet safely. The station was beautiful in its way, all polished metal and clear viewports showing the stars beyond. Dozens of species moved through the corridors, conducting business and negotiating deals. Lisa wore her full military dress uniform, every medal and ribbon polished to perfection. She wanted the king to see exactly who he was dealing with. Jake stood beside her, also in dress uniform. His chest wound had healed enough for duty, though he still tired more easily than before. Amy and Ben had come along as well, providing security and intelligence support. Nicole was coordinating communications back to Firebase Titan and the Human Council. Nervous? Jake asked quietly. Terrified, Lisa admitted. But I am not going to show it. You never do. That is one of the things that makes you a good general. You can be scared and still do what needs to be done. Lisa smiled at that. Jake had a way of cutting through to the truth of things. She was scared. Meeting the ruler of an empire that controlled 200 species, a being who had lived for 300 years and crushed countless enemies, was enough to scare anyone. But fear did not mean you ran away. Fear meant you needed to be careful and smart. An aide approached them, a small alien with purple skin and 6 eyes. General Brooks? The Krethian delegation has arrived. The king is ready to meet with you in the main negotiation chamber. Lisa took a deep breath and straightened her uniform. Let us go then. Time to see if this works. The negotiation chamber was enormous, designed to host meetings between multiple species. A long table dominated the center, with chairs sized for different body types. View screens covered the walls, showing star charts and territorial maps. Dozens of security personnel from various species stood at attention around the room, and at the far end of the table sat Galaxy King Zar Thux, the Eternal. Lisa had seen images of the Krethian king before, but nothing prepared her for the reality. He was massive, easily 3 meters tall even while sitting. His body was covered in dark scales that seemed to absorb light. 4 arms, each ending in clawed hands, rested on the table. His face was almost human-like but sharper, with eyes that glowed faintly red. He wore robes of deep purple trimmed with gold, and a crown of what looked like crystallized fire sat on his head. He looked every inch the ancient ruler, powerful and dangerous, but when Lisa met his eyes, she saw something that surprised her. Recognition. Not fear exactly, but a careful assessment. The king was looking at her the way one warrior looks at another, measuring strength and resolve. Lisa walked to her seat without hurrying, her spine straight and her expression calm. She sat down across from the king and waited. Protocol said that the ruler of an empire spoke first in any meeting. She would follow protocol, but she would not bow or show submission. The king studied her for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was deep and resonant, translated into human language by the station's computers. General Lisa Brooks, the human who killed 6 of my shadow blades and sent their heads back to me in a box. Your Majesty, Lisa replied evenly. The humans who defended their home against assassins, sent to murder their commander. We simply returned your property and sent a message. A bold message, the king said. There might have been amusement in his tone. In 300 years, no one has dared send me such an insult. Most species beg for mercy or try to hide. You attacked my pride directly and challenged me to respond. With respect, Your Majesty, you attacked first. You sent assassins into our territory to kill one of our leaders. That was an act of war. We simply chose to respond in a way you would understand. The king's eyes narrowed slightly. You assume you understand how I think. I understand power, Lisa said. You have ruled your empire through strength and fear. You crush resistance and punish defiance. When humans refused to submit, you tried to break our will by killing me. But you made a mistake. You assumed we would react like the other species you conquered. We do not break. We fight back. For a moment, Lisa thought she might have gone too far. The king's guards tensed, and she could feel Jake ready to move beside her. The room held its breath, waiting to see how the ancient ruler would respond. Then the king did something unexpected. He laughed. It was a deep rumbling sound that filled the chamber. His four hands came together in what might have been applause. Yes, he said, exactly that. You fight back. Do you know how rare that is, General? How few species have the courage to stand against true power. Most bow and scrape and beg. They hope that submission will save them. But you humans, you meet strength with strength. You answer violence with violence. You earn respect instead of asking for mercy. Is that why you called for this meeting? Lisa asked. Because we earned your respect? Partially, the king admitted. But also because you taught me something. For 300 years I have ruled through fear. I have crushed every rebellion and punished every defiance. And it has worked, after a fashion. My empire is vast and powerful, but it is also fragile, built on fear, not loyalty. He gestured to the star charts on the walls. When news spread that my shadow blades failed to kill you, when your message became known across the galaxy, something shifted. Species that had been quiet for decades suddenly remembered they had voices. Rebellions started. People questioned my power, all because one human general refused to die quietly. I am sorry if that caused you problems, Lisa said, though she did not sound very sorry. Do not be, the king said. You showed me the weakness in my own system. An empire built only on fear will crumble the moment that fear fades. But an empire built on respect, on mutual benefit, on acknowledgement of strength that can endure. He leaned forward, his glowing eyes fixed on Lisa. Your species is young, General. You have only been in space for a few decades, but you have something that most species lose as they age. Fire, determination, the willingness to fight for what is yours, no matter the cost. I have lived for 3 centuries, and I recognize the signs of a species that will not be conquered. So you are acknowledging our sovereignty, Lisa said. More than that, I am proposing an alliance. Lisa felt shock ripple through her team. An alliance? With the Cretan Empire? That was not what anyone had expected. Explain, Lisa said carefully. The king gestured to his own advisors, who brought up documents on the view screens. Human territory will be recognized as fully independent, with all rights and protections. Any Cretan vessels entering your space must request permission. Any conflicts will be resolved through diplomatic channels, not military force. And in return, Lisa knew there had to be something. Kings did not offer alliances without expecting something back. In return, humans agreed to respect Cretan territorial integrity, no support for rebellions within my empire, no military interference in our internal matters, and if our borders are ever threatened by outside forces, we help each other defend them. It was a good deal, better than Lisa had any right to expect, but she saw the deeper game. The king was not just making peace with humans. He was using them as an example. If he could transform enemies into allies, if he could show strength through diplomacy instead of just violence, it would stabilize his empire. I will need to consult with the Human Council, Lisa said. This is not a decision I can make alone.